Start with the name of Allah, the most merciful and grateful. Dear students of class first year, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome you in Pakistan International School TAIF's virtual learning system. Dear students, today we have English lecture number 15. This is grade first year. And we are going to learn today Unit 3, the blanket. This is page number 66 to 70. So please open your book on page number 66. And here's your teacher, Sarfraz Nadeem. Unit 3, Changing Attitudes. And your reading selection 3.1 is the blanket story. And the topic of the Unit 3, dear students, is changing attitudes, means how the attitudes are going to change. We have a pre-reading about the reading selection 3.1. Let's read. Peter, an 11-year-old kid, tells us that the blanket is a going away gift from his dad to his granddad. Can you guess why is his granddad going away and where? This is before reading, dear students. Can you guess or think of any possible reasons and destinations? Can you think of the blanket's significance? Do you think his granddad leaves at the end of the story? Have a look what's up. Reading selection 3.1, the blanket by Floyd Dell is the writer of the lesson, and reading selection 3.1. It was a fine September night. A thin white moon rose over the valley. Peter, 11 years old, did not see the moon. He did not feel the cool September breeze blow into the kitchen, for his thoughts were fixed on a red and black blanket on the kitchen table. The blanket was a gift from his dad to his granddad, a going away gift. They said that granddad was going away, that's why they called it going away. Peter had not really believed his dad would send granddad away, but now there it was, the going away gift. Dad had bought it that very morning, and this was the last evening he and his granddad would have with each other. Together, old man and the young boy washed the supper dishes. Dad had gone out with the women he was to marry. He would not be back for some time. When the dishes were finished, the old man and the boy went outside and sat under the moon. I'll get my harmonica and play for you, the old man said. I'll play some of the old tunes. But instead of the harmonica, he brought out the blanket. It was a big double blanket. Now, isn't that a fine blanket? He said, the old man, smoothing it over his knees. And isn't your father a kind man to be giving the old man a blanket like this to go away with? It costs something. It did. Look at the wool in it and warm it will be these cold winter nights to come. There will be no other blanket like it up there. It was like granddad to be saying that. He was trying to make it easier. Every since they had talked about going away, granddad had said it was his idea. Imagine leaving a warm house and friends to go to that building, that government place where he would be with so many other old fellows, having the best of everything. But Peter had not really believed that would do it. Peter had not really believed that Dad would do it until this night when he brought home the blanket. Oh, yes, it's a fine blanket. Peter said and got up and went into the house and wasn't the kind to cry. And besides, he was too old for that. He had just gone in to get granddad's harmonica. The blanket dropped to the floor as the old man took the harmonica. It was the last night they would have together. Neither the old man nor the young boy had to say a word. Granddad played a few notes and then said, "You remember this one?" The thin moon was high overhead and the gentle breeze blew down the valley. The last time Peter thought he would never hear Granddad play again, it was well that Dad was moving to a new house, away from here. He did not want to sit here outside on fine evenings under a white moon with Granddad gone. The music ended and the two sat for a few minutes in silence. Then Granddad spoke, had something happier. Peter sat and looked out over the valley. Dad would marry that girl. Yes, that girl who had kissed him and who had said she would try to be a good mother to him and all that. The tune stopped suddenly, and Granddad said, "It's a poor tune, except to be dancing to. And then it's a fine girl your father's going to marry. He will feel young again with a pretty wife like that. And what would an old fellow like me do around the house? Getting in the way, an old fool with all the talk about packages and pens." Here in this story, dear students, the old man is trying to tell that it's difficult for me to, so that why should I stay over here, because your father is going to marry with a young girl, so it's good for me to go away. And if I would be here, definitely I will cry. I will be getting in the way, an old fool with all the talk about his pants like this. And then there will be babies coming, and I don't want to be around listening to them cry all hours of the night. Now, it's best that I leave. Well, one more tune or two, and then we will get to bed. Get home, get some sleep. In the morning, I'll get my new blanket and take my leave. Listen to this. It's a bit of a sad tune, but a nice one for a night like this. Here, dear students, the old man is trying to convince to the Peter that let me go, and you shouldn't be angry or worried, because it's difficult for me to live over here with the kids. So he was trying to convince the Peter. They did not hear the two people coming down the road, Dad and the pretty girl, with a hard, bright face like a doll. But they heard her laugh and the tune stopped suddenly. Dad did not say a word, but the girl walked up to the granddad and said prettily, "I'll not be seeing you in the morning, so I came over to say goodbye." "It's kind of you," said Granddad, looking down at the floor and then seeing the blanket at his feet. He bent down to pick it up. "And will you look at this?" he said. He said, sounding himself like a little boy. "Isn't this a fine blanket my son has given me to go away with?" "Yes," she said, "it's a fine blanket." She felt the wool again and said, "A fine blanket indeed." She turned to Dad and said to him coldly, "Must have cost a pretty penny." Dad cleared his throat. I, I wanted him to have the best. Girl stood there still looking at the blanket. It's a double one too. Now, dear students, here the date and his girl to whom he was going to marry, they both came and they were staying over there. The girl saw the blanket and she was saying it's good. And even Granddad told him that look at the blanket, isn't it good? Because my son has given me to go away with. So she said, yes. She said, it's a fine blanket. Yes, the old man said it's a double one, a fine blanket for an old fellow to be going away with. The boy suddenly walked into the house. He could hear the girl still talking about the expensive blanket. He heard his dad get angry in his slow way, and now he was leaving. As Peter came out, the girl turned and called back, "No matter what you say, he doesn't need a double blanket." Dad looked at her with a funny look in his eye. "She's right, Dad," the boy said. "Granddad doesn't need a double blanket. Here, he did, and he held out a pair of scissors. "Cut it, Dad. Cut the blanket in two." Both of them looked at the boy surprised. "Cut it in two, I tell you, Dad, and keep the other half." "That's not a bad idea," said Granddad gently. "I don't need such a big blanket." Now, dear students, when the old man and the lady was discussing, the boy suddenly walked into the house. He could hear that the girl was just talking to his dad that why you purchased a expensive blanket for an old man and why you just purchase it, and definitely it is an expensive one. And dad was trying to tell him that my father is going away, that's why I purchased this. And that boy appeared and he had a scissors, pair of scissors, and he said, "Please, Dad, cut it, the blanket." Everyone's surprised. "Why?" He said, "Cut in two, I tell you, Dad, and keep the other half." And even the old man said, "Yes, that's not a bad idea because I don't need such a big blanket." Yes, the boy said, "A single blanket is enough for an old man where he is sent away. We'll save the other half, Dad. It will come in useful later." "Now, what do you mean by that?" asked Dad. "I mean," said the boy slowly, "that I'll give it to you, Dad, when you are old and I'm sending you away." There was a big silence, and then Dad went over to Granddad and stood before him, not saying a word. But Granddad understood, for he put out his hand and laid it on Dad's shoulder. Peter was watching them, and he heard Granddad whisper softly, "It's all right, son. I knew you didn't mean it." And then Peter cried, but it didn't matter because all three were crying together. So, dear students, this was a story at the last moment when this sentence was said by the boy that "I'll give it to you, Dad, when you are old and I'm sending you away." That was the very meaningful and important sentence, and the father of the Peter realized that it's not a good to send an old man to away. So that's why he was just went to granddad and was trying to tell him. So this was the lesson, dear students, and it was difficult for um dad to send his dad. So let's see the about the author. Floyd Dell, from 1887 to 1969, was born in 1887 in Pike County, Missouri. His family experienced a great deal of poverty. At school, Dell developed a love of reading. At 16, he joined the Socialist Party and gave speeches on street corners about his political beliefs. He also wrote for a small socialist monthly, Tri City Workers magazines. He also worked as a sub reporter for the Davenport Times. He later joined the Chicago Evening Post and by 1911 was editor of the newspaper's Friday Literary Review. Dell believed that the everyday life of the middle and working classes provided subjects worthy of serious literary treatment. So this is the dear students about the author, and same this is on page number 69, and this was the lesson. There is there are a few questions, dear students, who recalling, interpreting, and extending. What do Peter and Granddad talk about when the story begins. So I think these questions are easy after the reading. I think you can easily answer about these questions. And who is giving the blanket as a gift to whom? So I think it's easy for you to write the answers of these questions. So you can write it to me, send it to me, and I will be here to uh, check them. So this is all about today's dear lecture, and we have another topic about. Uh, let's see what's the next topic. The topic is about phrasal verbs. This is very important, dear students. This is a question in your examination, annual examination paper. So let's see something introduction about the phrasal verbs, what they are and how they are used. Phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs are very common in English, especially in more informal contexts. They are made up of a verb and a particle, or sometimes two particles. The particle often changes the meaning of the verb. Like I called Ali to see how he was. Like call means to telephone. Here, the word call means to telephone. So I called Ali to see how he was means he telephoned to Ali to know that how he was. They have called off the meeting. Now, same word called is written, but with the off. So they've called off the meeting means call off means to cancel. Here call means to telephone and call off means to cancel. So it becomes when you are going to add the particles with the verb, it sometimes change the meaning. In terms of word order, there are two main types of phrasal verbs, separable and inseparable. First, we will learn about the separable means they are separated with each other. With separable phrasal verbs, the verb and particle can be apart or together. Like they have called the meeting off or they have called off the meeting. Now here, dear students, both have the same meaning. You can't get different meanings. If you are using separately means together or apart. Like this first sentence is apart. They've called the meeting off. Means off is written bit away. They've called off. Here's the called off is written together. So they have the meaning same. However, separable phrasal verbs must be separated when you use a pronoun. When you are using pronoun, you must separable. How separable phrasal verbs must be separated. Like the meeting, they have called it off. Now here you can say it is used, so that's why we give separable over here. Here are some common separable phrasal verbs. I didn't want to bring the situation up at the meeting. Bring up means start talking about a particular subject. Please, can you fill this form in? Now here you can say that two things are used. Fill this form in. So fill in means write information in a form or a document. I'll pick you up from the station at 8 p.m. I'll pick up, no, pick you up because the if the pronoun is used, we just write separated. So pick you up. Pick up means collect someone in a car or other vehicle to take them somewhere. She turned the job down because she didn't want to move to Glasgow. So turned the job down. So both turn down means to not accept an offer. So here we have examples more for this. Non-separable. Some phrasal verbs cannot be separable, cannot be separated. Now non-separable means they were the separable, they are the non-separable means together. Who looks after the baby when you are at work? Looks after. Or we can say even when there is a pronoun, the verb and particle remain together. Even we have verb. In the last separable, we say if we have a verb, we will write it separately. But here in non-separable, dear students, we will write same. Even we have a pronoun. For example, who looks after her when you are at work? Now, who looks after her? Both you can say the pronoun are used over here. Here are some common non-separable phrasal verbs, which are like, I came across your email when I was clearing my inbox. Come across means to find something by chance. Or you can say the caterpillar turned into a beautiful butterfly. Turn into means become. And we have, it was quite a major operation. It took months to get over it and feel normal again. Get over means recover from something. And then we have, we are aware of the problem and we are looking into it. Look into means investigate. And here we have some multi-word verbs are inseparable simply because they don't take an object. Like, I get up at 7 a.m. Now there is no any object, get up at 7 a.m. So these were the phrasal verbs, dear students. So now we have a homework. And what is the homework? Just very simple, write 10 sentences and using phrasal verbs. Means any 10 phrasal verbs you have to use in your own sentence. It's a very easy homework, dear students. You can send it to me and WhatsApp. And this is all about, dear students, today's lecture. And see you inshallah in next lecture. Thank you for joining. Till that, goodbye. Allah Hafiz.